tall one swallows it down with his tears. On the 8th of November, the angels were crying as they carried his brothers away. With the fire raining down and the devil around, there were few men left standing that day.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out for IV Bourrage's plaque dedication. At this time, I'd like to welcome Roger up for a prayer from the American Legion.
Thank you, Chris. Welcome, everybody, this evening. We at the American Legion, along with all the other veterans gathered here today, would now like to pay tribute to Sergeant Ivy. This moment is sacred, with the almost visible presence of Ivy before us. We come here tonight to honor Ivy, who offered his life in the service of his country. He is now enrolled in that great spiritual Marine Corps whose footfalls cause no sound, yet their footsteps keep marching onward. Proudly, we remember them for their time of service in the great wars. Because of them, our lives are free. Because of them, our nation lives. Because of them, our world is blessed. May the ceremonies of today deepen the reverence we have for our honored comrades and friends. Let us not enshroud Ivy's name in sorrow, for tears nor words of sympathy cannot bring back the care of those loving hands nor the music of that voice now silenced. The solemn pride of that service is Ivy's, and for all of us the living to remember. Family, veterans, and friends, let all of us here today pledge ourselves anew in united service to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship with a dedication to the mutual helpfulness of all of those left behind. We realize thou and inept are the mere words we use to describe our deep and abiding sympathy for your loss. May you feel that Ivy is at rest and in endless peace. You know, generation after generation, all the peoples of the past have lived as we live, perplexed and mystified by death. They've all gone forth into the great beyond, hearts filled with hope, as all must go. Surely there is an afterlife for those who have been loyal and true, as Ivy was, where the love, the hope, and the fulfillment that escape us here on earth will be given to us and be ours forever. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to welcome the combat vets and the American Legion to present the colors.
One, two, three, present, first.
What so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight on this special occasion for the Bourrage family. I want to welcome a couple of people in the crowd. Senator Bill Blessings, Representative Cindy Abrams, Judge Michael Peck, Judge Cooper, Coleraine Police Chief Mark Denny, Bruce Hoffbauer, Coleraine Township Trustees Dan Unger, Rod Rodriguez, Matt Waller, Township Administrator Jeff Miltz, and there's a distinguished guest in the crowd, Keith Moppin. I'd like to welcome you, sir. Thank you. We're gathered today to pay special tribute and honor to I.V. Bourrage. I.V. Bourrage was born on this day today, 1932. Happy 88th birthday, I.V. He met his lovely wife, Averti, in grade school. They were classmates, not in the same grade. I.V. was 3 years older than Averti, but that didn't stop him at his young age. He knew exactly what he wanted. He started to pass notes to her in school through his sister. All through elementary school, they passed notes. Her family knew his family, and his family knew her family. They went their different ways after grade school and never saw each other again. One day, I.V. showed up at Averti's house on December 28, 1953, the year she graduated high school. He joined the Marines. She showed up at her father's house and asked her father for his daughter's hand in marriage. The father didn't like the idea and wasn't happy about it, but they agreed. And that was the first time the couple ever kissed, hugged, or anything. They basically never dated. They got married a few days later on her father's birthday, December 30th, on Wednesday. They didn't have much of a honeymoon because I.V. left on Saturday to return to Okinawa with his Marine unit. I.V. served 14 years in the Marines, with one tour in the Korean War and 2 tours in the Vietnam War, 1965 and 1967. In his first tour in Vietnam, his youngest daughter, Jacqueline, was born. Rest in peace, Jacqueline. And his wife ended up with a perforated appendix, and the Marines sent him home to care for his wife, and he was home for 45 days. He then returned back to Vietnam. When he returned back, they was on a road march, and they came under heavy fire. I.V. Bourrage succumbed his wounds from small guns fire on February 21st, 1967. Averti was not home when the 2 fully dressed Marines showed up at her door to notify the family. The neighbor told her that she had 2 special visitors in Marine dress blues. The entire family was devastated. On November 11th, 1968, this plaque right here was dedicated for all veterans of the Vietnam War. The family's been waiting 52 years for what's about to happen today. We will be dedicating the same memorial with I.V.'s name forever on this monument. At this time, I would like to welcome Michael Ivan Bourrage.
Okay, thanks.
Ivan, it's a great pleasure. I present to you this plaque in remembrance of your father. Would you please place this plaque on the monument in memory of your father? At this time, I'd like to welcome Senator Lou Blessings to speak a few words on the family.
Well, first of all, thank you all for being here. I cannot imagine what it is like for you, the family of I.V. Bourrage. Lost your father at such a young age. You know, I look at the paper here, and you know, 11, 8, 6, 3, and 2. That's too young to lose a father. That's just absolutely terrible. And you know, I just look at this and think about what was going on at the time. There was a lot of civil unrest. There was a lot of other issues with, you know, not just the United States, but in the Vietnam War. And the fact that your father not only served in the Korean War, but is Vietnam as well, and gave his life for this country, that just speaks volumes. It's just absolutely incredible. It is a testament to his courage and honor as a father, as a human being, as an American. And quite frankly, this, as I hear 52 years, that's 52 years too long for this plaque. And, I guess I take it for granted is, I take my son down to something like Northgate Greenhouse just down the street. And, we wouldn't be here but for men like your father, I.V. Bourrage. It was men like that, that protected this country through, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, on and on. Going forward with this plaque here, I think I'm going to start taking my son by here and tell him, hey, you need to remember, it's guys like this that gave you your freedom, that are going to allow you to grow up, become a good citizen, raise a family, grow old with your wife, and see your children thrive and go to school. So with that, I cannot thank you enough. I wish I could bring back your father, but for now, this small token that we can give is gratitude for your father, your family. It's the best we can do. So thank you for that.
I'd like to welcome Representative Cindy Abrams.
Tonight, we are here to honor and remember Sergeant Bourrage. I learned at an early age that freedom isn't free. We are all free to assemble here today because of the brave men and women who have fought and are currently fighting for the freedoms we enjoy. Personally, I come from a proud, hard-working, service-driven family. My grandpa served in World War II in the Army as a tank commander. My father served in the National Guard, my father-in-law with the Marines in the Korean War, and my husband served in the Army, 1st Infantry Division. It takes a courageous person to humbly answer the call to serve, and I have seen firsthand the sacrifices they have all made to do so. We have close friends that served for 22 years. Their service included 9 different duty stations and 4 different deployments, which included Bosnia, Japan, Iraq, and Afghanistan. While they were honorably serving our country, their spouses were back at home, raising children and keeping things running as smoothly as possible. Thank you, Mrs. Bourrage, for being a strong role model for your children and for this community. We must never forget the men and women that paid the ultimate sacrifice and take today to reflect on the many blessings we all have, all of which we owe to them. Thank you for inviting me here tonight to honor and remember Sergeant Bourrage. We appreciate his dedicated service to our country. God bless our troops, and God bless America.
Thank you, Cindy. Next, I'd like to welcome Judge Mike Peck.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank Chris Green and Colerain Veterans Memorial for inviting me out to be part of this very special event. As a judge in Hamilton County, I, as well as every other judge in the state of Ohio, have the privilege to swear an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Ohio. But I must say that we owe a great debt to our veterans for serving and in many cases giving their lives to make that oath possible by defending this country and everything it stands for. I would like to personally thank Sergeant I.V. Bourrage, the true warrior, for his sacrifice, and to his family who bore and bears the great weight of that loss. Thank you to all of you for being here. The United States, state of Ohio, Hamilton County, and Colerain Township should be very proud to hold up I.V. Bourrage as an example of service and sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next, I'd like to welcome Judge Cooper.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Judge Ethna Cooper, and I'm in the Hamilton County Court of Common Pleas. I'm also the presiding judge for the Hamilton County Felony Veterans Treatment Court, first type of felony veterans treatment court in the country. And I'm known as the Vet Court Judge. So I'm very happy to be here today because usually sometime around Memorial Day, I usually go to visit the graves of my mom and dad who are buried at Arlington. My dad was a World War II Army vet. But with the pandemic, I couldn't go to Arlington this year, and so I'm so happy to be here at this memorial to honor Sergeant Ivy. At Arlington, by the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, there's a bench that has the following inscription: "The beginning of the end of war lies in its remembrance." That's why I'm here today, to honor Sergeant Ivy and his family members. He sacrificed his life, and in a way, you all sacrificed your lives as well. And that's why we stand here today. This is why we stand here as free Americans, to honor not only Sergeant Ivy, but you, his family, for your commitment to duty, to patriotism, and to the ultimate sacrifice that he made. You know, it's easy to forget the price that was paid by people such as Sergeant Ivy. But if we are to safeguard our freedom, it's imperative that we remember the ultimate sacrifice that these soldiers made. That's why we can never forget. We can't forget Sergeant Ivy. It's our duty to honor him, not just for him, not just for our past, but for our future. And that's why the beginning of war lies in its remembrance, with a plaque dedicated to Sergeant Ivy. Thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to welcome Bruce Hoffbauer to speak a few words.
Thank you. My name is Bruce Hoffbauer. It truly is an honor to be here to honor Sergeant Ivy Bourrage and your beautiful family. So thanks for having me here. I am running for Hamilton County Sheriff, and I retired as a Cincinnati police officer after 34 years. That's nothing compared to what Sergeant Ivy gave to this community and this country. I brought my dad with me today, Ray Hoffbauer, who's in the crowd. Very proud of my dad, who is an Army and Navy veteran. And he also patrolled the streets of Colerain Township all the way back in 1961. And so he retired from the sheriff's office, and he saw a lot of changes in Colerain. And I'm sure he would have, he's close to Ivy's age. I'm sure they would have had a lot in common. They could have told a lot of stories. Earlier when we did the national anthem, and when we do the Pledge of Allegiance, lately it means more to me, and I hope it does to you, than it has ever in our lifetime. We've seen people disgrace and trample and burn and dishonor our flag. That's the very symbol of why we're here. We're here for Ivy. That symbol is for Ivy. We need to stand with that. It's convoluted when we think that people can dishonor that flag that gives us the right to do what we do. And Ivy died for that flag. So in 1967, when Ivy was killed, I was just 3 years old, growing up on the west side of Cincinnati. And he was a true hero that gave his life for me and everyone here today. And in 1967, the country was experiencing some of the same things we are experiencing right now. There were riots, issues with race relations. It was an unpopular time to be a police officer. And I can remember asking my dad, how did we get through that? How did you get through that at the time? And his answer that I remember was simply stay strong and work together. And sometimes I have to ask myself, how did we get here again? But I believe history will repeat itself, and we will get through this difficult time together. When I saw the story on the news, Ivy's wife made a comment that Chris Green was her brother. She said her skin color was different, but her blood was the same. It was red. What a beautiful day for all of us to be here. We are all the same. It doesn't matter what color of our skin is. It doesn't matter our sex, where we come from. We're all brothers and sisters. And we have to keep remembering that Ivy sacrificed that for us. And I think that the country could take a lesson from gatherings like this here today. Chris put this together, and this beautiful family of Ivy. The country could take a lesson of how to respect and treat each other with dignity. It saddens me that it takes remembering the death of a Marine who fought for us and died over 50 years ago on a continent far, far away for us to remember that. So we should practice human decency. And we all have regrets in life, and my one biggest regret in life is that I did not serve in the armed forces. So the only way that I think I can remember everyone who has, present, and gone before us is to fly the flag at my house every day. Ivy has a beautiful family, and it's been my honor to be a part of this special day. Ivy and his family deserve the recognition not only for a grateful community, but a grateful nation. So thank you and allowing me to be here today. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Colerain Township Trustee Dan Unger.
Thank you all for coming. It's nice to meet your family. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Just as a practical note, I happen to know a little bit of the history of the other plaque that's up here, and having grown up here, and I had the benefit of being on the local school board for 8 years, and through that, and through knowing his kids, I knew Bud Hargis, who was the principal of this school when it opened, and Mr. Hargis was convinced that the other plaque was the very first memorial plaque that had been placed in the state of Ohio as a Vietnam War memorial. And that's my limited local knowledge of it, and that's what the other plaque is. So when you all come up to socially distant walk past here when this is over, that's the history of the other plaque. So, and thanks for getting us together, Chris.
Thanks, Dan. Next, I'd like to welcome Township Trustee Raj Rajgopal.
Today is the proudest day for our country and for Coleraine Township to dedicate and celebrate the service of our Sergeant Ivy. And also we thank the family to come here all the way from different places to celebrate your dad's memory. And this is a great place. Actually put the plaque, all the children will see it for years to come. And Sergeant Ivy Bourrage lived a short life, but he sacrificed his life. That's the very highest thing he can do for his life. And we are so proud for his service because, like the earlier speaker said, because of his service, we all enjoying this freedom and all these things, the prosperity of our country. So we thank you. You all come here to come to Coleraine Township to celebrate and memorialize his service. Thank you.
Next, Trustee Matt Waller.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out this evening. This is, I think someone else mentioned it before, a day about heroes. Absolutely about heroes. And it doesn't just stop with Sergeant Bourrage. I think about Averti and the hero she is for raising her family. I think about the kids. I think about the folks over there. I think about Mr. Maupin. I think about Chris Green, who put this together. The media tells us who heroes are. We don't need to know who heroes are. We just need to look around. And they're around us every day. And the more that we realize that these are the heroes, that you folks are the heroes, this is what makes America, America. I'm so very proud to be a part of this. And I'm so very proud of your family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Next, I'd like to welcome Coleraine Township Administrator Jeff Miltz.
Good evening. It's so great to see everyone here. Welcome to Coleraine. For those of you that don't live here, it's a wonderful place, full of wonderful people. As I was reflecting on the importance of this solemn and very long overdue occasion, I started to think about the fact that these days, much like what Trustee Waller was saying, it seems that heroes are few and far between, doesn't it? It feels like heroes have become detached and far away. There are people somewhere else. We see heroes in movies, we see sports heroes on TV. But we're here today to celebrate a real life hero, a local hero, an Ivy Bourrage kind of hero. He's the kind of man that served selflessly and gave everything for his country and this community. And he now serves in a much different way. He serves as an enduring reminder that you don't have to wear a cape or hit a ball to be a hero. You just have to be willing to give everything to something that you believe in, something that matters. And now from this day forward, students will get to know and be reminded that heroes can be found in their neighborhood and on their streets. Ivy Bourrage teaches us that heroes come from Coleraine Township, and that's really special. Thank you so much for the sacrifice that you all had to go through so that we could have a better Coleraine. Thanks.
Next, I'd like to welcome Coleraine Chief Police Mark Denny.
Thank you very much. It's quite an honor to be here. Senator Blessing said something that kind of stirred my thoughts a little bit. My son is moving out tomorrow morning. He's going to college. So thank you. So I sat him down last night. We had a conversation about the expectations and the responsibilities of a young man in today's society. And our conversation turned to Sergeant Bourrage and about how the expectations and responsibilities of young men 54 years ago were so much different. They were expected to give up everything in their lives and to go fight wars across this country to defend our country. And some people, some heroes like Sergeant Bourrage, made the ultimate sacrifice. And what a tremendous loss for your family, but what a tremendous loss for our community, for a man of such character and a hero to leave our midst. But those sacrifices were made so that 54 years later, someone like my son could do the things that he's doing tomorrow. And if that doesn't make you feel a tremendous amount of gratitude, I don't know what will. For the family, I hope this plaque brings you peace and pride, and I hope it stirs some more father and son conversations in the future about responsibilities and sacrifice. But God bless you, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Chief. I want to thank all the speakers for their kind words. I'd like the entire Bourrage family to stand up to be recognized.
A lot of people to thank, actually, but I'd like to start with probably Chris Green. This being my old elementary school brings back a lot of memories. Mr. Hargis was one of the men that in 67, I believe it was. Just a little short story. Mr. Starnes, I believe, was my 5th grade teacher. I remember getting sent to the office because I was always wanting to cut up. So I walked slowly to the office. I wasn't really that far away from it, but when I got there, Mr. Hargis recognized me and he said, "Hey, aren't you Mrs. Bourrage's son?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "You won't ever be in my office again, will you?" I was like, "Absolutely not, sir." So that right there stuck with me through junior high school, through high school, and throughout my life, actually. So with my father being a veteran, his spirit is always with me. It's always stayed with me. But to all the military veterans that have served that did not come home, I recognize what their families have had to go through. And it's tough, but you know what? When you have a strong family, it's easier. So the way we look at people is that a lot of people are your family. It's not just your immediate family sometimes. It's your neighborhood. It's the people that you work with or you grow up with. So everybody, I just really want to thank everybody for coming out. All the comments that were made, everybody's spending their time to come out. And once again, thanks to Chris Green. That's all.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Another thing you all might not know is my mom used to be ETA president here at Houston. That's how she got a chance probably to know Mr. Hargis. Other than dealings with her children. But anyway, I would like to take the time to tell you how much our family appreciate this gathering today. It makes you really proud. A lot of things we don't remember when we're children. I never went to Houston. I went to Coleraine Junior High. So my sister Deborah was in the Girl Scout troop, and that's how they got started on this plaque right here. I thank all the neighbors for coming out to celebrate the honor of our father. It's been a great gathering, and you all make me proud too. I got a chance to talk to Matt Moffin's son and a couple of people here, and I thank Chris Green for working so hard to get this together. And that's all I have to say.
Verdi, would you like to say anything?
Good evening, everyone. At this moment, I'm grateful, I'm blessed, I'm thankful. My heart is heavy. It brings back so many memories. But I want to say to this man here, when he came to my door, I have a no solicitors list at my door. And he had this sign in his hand, and it had my husband's name on it, I.V. Bourrage. So then I smiled, and he said, and I opened the door. He said, "May I come in?" I said, "Of course." But this man here, I can't thank him enough. That's why I call him brother. because he's been such a gentleman. I didn't have to go looking for him. He's been to my house many times. He wanted to make everything right. And I thank God for him. That's why I said my heart is heavy today. Because Chris, he put it together. And it should have been done a long time ago. But I thank God because he's my rock. And I thank all of you for attending. All of you. And I give God praise for all of the guys that lost their lives. A lot of guys from the state of Mississippi lost their lives. And there are other guys that are still losing lives. But we praise God and thank him for taking care of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bertie. Give a round of applause for the Bourrage family. At this time, I'd like to welcome the American Legion and the combat veterans to retire the colors.
Sergeant of the Guard, salute our fallen comrade.
Cutter guard, front, and cut. Right shoulder, fire. Forward, fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Present. Fire.
Around the country and one here now. And only two people chose to die for you. Jesus Christ our Lord died and Savior, and the American soldier protecting your freedoms. Thank you again for joining us today.
Sergeant of the Guard, dismiss your troops.
Cutter guard, front, fall out.
Yeah, oh, this is where I'd settle down. All that died, old man back in 1910. They gave me this plot. me and some other